Warning: the content of the video that you are about to watch pertains to the harvest of fur-bearing wildlife through the practice of ethical, sound wildlife management of modern-day trapping. If this bothers you, if it triggers you in any way, shape, or form, please leave this channel now. Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. Guys, what I've got for you today is I want to go through some things and show you how I hook up my chains and my cables to my traps, what stakes I'm using, that kind of stuff. You're going to see that I don't use any wire of any kind. I found out years ago that wire just causes a lot of headache and a lot of heartache. Cable and chain are very cheap in the long run in the grand scheme of it all as far as safe traps. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this. All right, guys, so the first thing we need to go over is like on my beaver traps, I run either 10 foot of number 2 chain, and the way I don't have one here with me. Most of my beaver stuff is in storage down South Arkansas. I just run a J hook into the end of the swivel and attach, another, what, 7, 8 feet of chain, 9 feet of chain, whatever comes from factory. You can go longer, you can go up, I've went down as low as 5 feet and still been okay. This is 10 feet of 7 by 7 1/8 inch cable. And with these, all I do is just run the loop through the swivel and then run the cable back through it, through the loop, through itself. That way I can take them off if I want to, or leave them on. And you can if you choose to, and some of my older stuff is this way. I went ahead and I ran the cable through the hole here on the end of the swivel, so that if I ever came up to a situation where I wanted to drown a beaver, I could. In the last 35, 37 years of trapping beaver, I've never come onto a situation where I had to drown a beaver. But it's there if I choose to, and you can do the same thing. As far as stakes go, I've been all over the place. Back years ago, before we started running disposables, I was running 3 foot long, T-bars for beaver. They work great, other than the fact that they take up a lot of room. They take up a lot of weight. I was running 3/8 inch, 3 foot long T-bars. They work fantastic. Other than, like I said, they're, it's pretty heavy, especially if you're in a boat. You throw 50 or 75 of these number 3s in with either 10 foot of cable or 10 foot of chain on them, and then you throw 50 or 75 3 foot long T-bar stakes in a boat, and you're loaded before you ever get in it. So that was the biggest thing. It just took up a lot of weight, and even in the truck, I was running, back then I was running 3 different states, trapping beaver for the most part, and again, throw 80 or 100 of them in the back of the truck along with 80 or 100 of these, and you got another 50, 75, 330s and 280s. You got a load. So out of necessity, more than anything, I switched over to disposables. And my first switch, the first ones that I ever used, let me get hold of the right chain here. I switched, I started with the pogos. It's just an 1.5 inch fender washer, 1/4 inch hole through it with a J hook in it, attached to the cable. And your cable lengths vary from whatever the ground situation is, whatever state you happen to be in, as far as the ground type and ground situations as to what's going to hold. And I have gone up as high as 2-inch washers, and then I have went as far as running down, especially in sugar sand, instead of running a 2-inch washer, because they don't really want to fit right in the notch in the pogo driver. That's a little bit too shallow for that 2-inch driver sometimes, and it gets built up with mud and sand debris, and it doesn't want to fit down in there quite right. I have ran these down, 2 of them, just like you were cross pegging with rebar for couch. You run one way and you run one off the other way, and all hell's not going to pull it. So that's an option that you can sure enough use if you're in, say you're up in northern Minnesota in the lakes in the loon poop, or if you're here in southeast Iowa, we have a lot of sugar sand on these creeks and rivers. That's an option that you can use if you choose to. Now, like I said, I started running these, and then Berkshire came to me when they first came out with their disposable and asked me to field test it. And some of you older trappers will remember that first generation of Berkshires when they came out with them. They didn't have this nice point on the end. They were just flat and hooked, and the steel was really thin. They didn't have these nice stiffener ridges down the side of them. So if you were using them on coyotes, and even sometimes on a big beaver on a hard clay bank, they would just fold them up and pull them right out. So I went to them and I said, well, I think you've got a fine idea here, but you need to make some switches. You need to make some changes. And it took them quite a while to catch on to finally doing it. I told them, I said, you need to put stiffeners, ridges like truck bodies have, to stiffen them up. And they finally did it, in their heavy duty Berkshire, and they put a point on them here and made them out of a heavier gauge steel, and they're a fine tool. And in fact, I'm getting to where I'm switching more to these over the Pogos, simply because of the ease of being able to drive these. If my Pogo, and I have broke the tip on a couple of them, if you break it, you're just out. You're done until you replace it or get a new one or build one or fix it or whatever you got to do. With these, all I have to have is a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 bar rebar, and I can put these in. Heck, I could put these in with a good stout hickory stick if that's all I had, as long as all I had to do was push them in. So I'm starting to switch and go more to these. My partner Mike Houck of Last Step Trap Supply and Hide Tanning, this is what he runs. And it's just mainly because of the ease of being able to put them in with whatever's handy. That's why I'm switching to these. Not that these hold any better than the Pogos or the Pogos hold any better than these. It's more of a convenience thing, so to speak. And the way I attach, not all of these are done this way, guys, but a lot of them are. I just run a big loop in the end of my cables. And I do this on beaver, on coyotes, on coons, it doesn't matter. And all I do is just run. Let me just see if I can get this thing out of here. Basically, all you do is just run one loop through the other, and then run your stake end through the loop itself, and then just pull it down, and there it is. It's a very quick, very easy, efficient way to connect whatever track. And you can do the same thing on a swivel. It doesn't take any more effort or anything. Just run the loop in through the swivel, run the stake in through the loop, and there you're attached. And then if you can pull them, great. If you can't pull them, that's why they call them a disposable. You just take a pair of cable cutters, cut it off, and leave it as an artifact, and nobody knows, anymore. 100 years from now, some archaeologist will dig it up and say, what the heck is this? One of those deals. As far as the other way that I've started to hook up, just again for ease, and that's these big split rings. Now I want to warn you, and you need to be careful about where you buy these things. There's some of these places are selling these, and they're just entirely too soft. They're a second rate or a cut rate material, and they're too damn soft, and they'll open up on you, especially on a coyote. If they hit the end of that thing, they'll open up. So be careful about where you buy them. I personally buy all mine through Cumberland's. I've never had a problem with them, and they make them in 2 different sizes. And they've got them in this bigger one, which we have a lot of, and then we also switched over last year on some traps, and they're down in Arkansas, guys. I apologize. To a 1/2 inch hole in the middle of them here, so you can run a rebar stake through them or whatever you want to do there. Same gauge material here, just a smaller diameter. They work absolutely fantastic. We never had one fail last year. Last year was the first year we used them. And here in Iowa, it was very, very hard because we were so super dry. We had to put a puller on everything. And I'm telling you, you put Mike or I on the end of a 6-foot puller, and, we're pretty good sized boys, and there's a lot of weight there, and a lot of power, a lot of force. we never opened one. We distorted the heck out of some of them, but we never opened one. So that's saying a lot right there. So just be very careful about where you buy these. If you are a little bit leery, a little bit gun shy of them, you think maybe you've got a bad batch, maybe they're going to open up on you, all you have to do is take a piece of 3/32 7x7 and put a safety, you know, run it through here and swag a ferrule on the end of it, you know, double it through and through itself and swag it on. Well, now you've got 900 pounds there, and you're not gonna, you know, that's a good safety is what it is. It's not gonna come apart on you. So if you know, and the reason I like these so well, especially snaring, they're absolutely fantastic on the end of a snare because you can replace the snare so quick and so easy. All I do is, you know, I just take my pliers and get in there and kind of open it up a little. And now I can slide that disposable or that snare off of that ring, and then to put it on, you just slide it back in and run it back around. Make sure you run it all the way around, and then you're back in business again. It's very slick, very easy way of doing things, and it saves you a little money buying extra swivels, extra J hooks, that kind of thing as far as to hook up. Now, as far as on drags, this happens to be one of my cheaper made bobcat drags. That's all I use them on. The cats are very notorious for going into the brush right away and hanging up. They're not like a coyote, where he may come out here to the road somewhere and take off on you. And this thing doesn't leave a very good track. It doesn't hang up very good, but it does hook up very well in the brush. And the way I hook up with them is either you can run a swivel like so, or you can use those big split rings to hook up here. Either way, it doesn't matter. Whichever suits you as far as that goes. So guys, that's kind of what I do here, kind of how I do things as far as hooking up to my traps or my stakes, and kind of where I've been and to where I am now. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope it's been helpful to you. I hope you picked up a few things from it. If you would, please just hit that thumbs up for me. That's all I'm asking. I appreciate y'all tuning in to watch. And once again, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.